The garden's going pretty good. I had to water yesterday. I'm not going to overwater my garden like I've done in the past and just waste water. We get enough rain here in Northwest Indiana. There's some weeks it goes without raining. Maybe every couple of days I'll just do a watering. The trick is with tomatoes, to do a deep watering so the roots will be more aggressive. If you do shallow watering, there's no reason why for the roots to go deep. And I have raised beds for a reason, so I might as well utilize them. Bunch of the carrots are starting to pop through the little. It's edible. So the green part of the carrot, I don't eat them. I compost them. And did you know if you let those sit for a season or two seasons, actually, that's where you get your seeds from. And I'm going to try that because there's a couple of carrots that I did harvest from last year that surprisingly survived the winter that I'm going to harvest next year or the year after next. And I have thousands of seeds. Carrot seeds are so minuscule. They're like looks like little pieces of black sand. That's a good, I thought that's a good video. Get a microscope and take a look at them under the microscope. That's a good idea. Somebody lost a rim to a car. It's just sitting out in the street. And I'm the douchebag that didn't stop and pick it up. Yeah, but I'm not going to risk getting hit because people are stupid. Yeah, I talk on my phone while I'm driving, but I don't look at it or stare at it incessantly. Or text while I'm driving. Carrots, they're coming in. And I planted a bunch more. I used carrots as a cover crop. Last year I used a lot of onions as a cover crop. But the problem I developed was some onions were hidden and I couldn't find them. And they grew up big, but I'm not doing onions this year. I'm doing carrots. That's my cover crop. And my beds are 2 to 3 feet in length. And no carrot's going to be over a foot long anyway. So there's plenty of space for the carrots to grow into. I want to have thousands of carrots this year. Is that unrealistic? So next week I go on vacation, and I'm gonna go to the range where I can go shoot my 50 cal down in Connorsville. I'm pretty excited about that. Like I say, I'm just excited. It's supposed to be hot today. That's going to be good because I did a good watering yesterday. And then they say it's supposed to storm tonight, which is good too. It's God's way of watering our plants. Wow, I have 11 people on this morning. That's amazing. And what else is going on today? Today's Tuesday, but in my brain, because we have Thursday off, it feels like a Thursday for me. And I have a busy day today, of course. When the day goes by, that's pretty good. Have to work, of course. Do a lot of work. I have to drink here. I love the taste of ginger. I'm having some ginger ale, sugar-free ginger ale. Yeah. Or I might just say locally, or do both as far as shooting. I want to get that piece in for my, I get lost for words sometimes, charging handle for my LR300, which is a 300 Win Mag by Bear Creek Arsenal. And if I can't, if they don't send it to me in time, I can always get a hex screw that will attach to that, a long 1-inch or 2-inch hex screw, and I can use that as the charging handle. There's a place to screw it in. And I'm just thinking about it out loud. I don't have a way of connecting the two together. There's a part that attaches to it and the part that goes in. And it'd be stronger if there's 2 points. I have now that it's 2 AR rifles. I have one that's an AR-15. And then, of course, I have my LR300. That's got a side handle. And actually, it is a lot easier than using a traditional charging handle because it's just like a machine gun, but it's not a machine gun. And it's not as bulky as machine gun charging handle, like on an M60 or 249. It's good. Gonna have a sip of my drink here. So far, I'm not having any technical difficulties. Yesterday, I had some technical difficulties. I had to reboot my phone, I guess, because I hadn't rebooted it in a few weeks or days. I don't know. But the conspiratorial part of me is that they came out with a new version of this phone. So these phones are going to start dying off. So you have to get the new version. You think the companies really do that? It's an Android. Or Samsung. I got a Samsung, if I remember right. What a day. So it seems like I make these medical videos related to, and to me, they're related to prepping, okay? Because if shit hit the fan and you don't have room to see a doctor or there isn't any doctors around, what are you going to do for your health? But if you have some of these chronic conditions, would you know what to do or where to go? Have you researched what the holistic alternatives are? But it seemed like I did a cardiovascular video, and maybe it's the quality of my video, but nobody's watching them. I don't get it. Yet I do videos about the Supreme Court, which is just a fancy. It's a version of well, the Supreme Court case is related to guns, and to me, prepping is part of. I like to do anything related to prepping, as far as it has something to do with prepping, and Supreme Court cases related to guns is related to prepping, so I do videos. But anyway, my Supreme Court video that I did last week or the week before literally got thousands of views. My video I did on cardiac alternative therapies for cardiac health, it's gotten 11 views. And I get it. most people don't really give a shit about health, or to them, that's not a prepper issue. But to me, it is. So I'm still going to just stick with my guns and make prepper videos about health. Which makes me think again about stuff. Got to turn. Another thing I don't get is the there isn't much of a demand for freeze dry videos, apparently. And even me talking about it, I'm down to 2 viewers now because it's a boring subject. But yet people will talk about canning and dehydrating all day. Well, why not, invest a couple thousand and get a freeze dryer? You know what I'm saying? Invest in yourself, invest in your family, get a freeze dryer. Instead of buying, I wanted to buy a PVS 14 with a white phosphor, the one that looks the white phosphor. I wanted to buy one of those instead. Instead of buying one of those, I got a freeze dryer. To me, that was the best decision I ever made. Yeah, the green night vision is cool, but that white phosphor one, it looks even better. I'm hoping, speaking of, now I've had mixed thoughts on digital night vision, okay? But here are my thoughts on this. If they can come up with a handheld or head-mounted digital night vision with a thermal outlier that you can attach to your PVS or your helmet, the Sightmark makes their newest version of the Sightmark Wraith, which is a digital scope, and to me, it's one of the best digital scopes. I own the original one, but they have a thermal overlay now with the digital scope, and you can use both at the same time. Now, if they could do that with NVGs, and the thing is, I guess it's cool to have the recording ability and record sound and all, but I want the technology to be focused on the highest resolution image with the thermal. Digital imaging it's basically a TV screen. Come on, sweetheart, you can go. And I guess all the other nooks and crannies that are associated with night vision come into play now. I guess there's a way you can live stream certain things on social media now. I want to get a thermal. I want to get a thermal drone, but I want it to be able to live stream on social media. And then I got to myself thinking, the way they make these camera technologies now, and the camera technology on a drone is a digital camera. Why not have the best of both worlds, like that Sightmark Wraith? Have a digital camera that you can use an artificial IR light to see at night, plus have a thermal overlay. So you would have basically a fusion camera on a drone, a flying drone, okay? Why can't someone think of that? And the technology is there. I mean, these camera drones are pretty small nowadays. To have fly a drone in the United States without a license, it's got to be under 249 grams. After that, you need a 107, Part 107 license. I got a book to study. And if you want to do anything commercial with that drone, regardless of the weight, you have to have a drone license. And then if you want to fly your drone at night, you need to apply for a night waiver to fly your drone at night, apparently. But if shit hit the fan, if you needed to fly your drone at night for night operations, then you would just do it at night. I'm only talking if shit hit the fan. The same thing goes with saying with ham radios. You're not supposed to talk on a ham radio unless you have one of the different types of licenses to talk on certain frequencies. If shit hit the fan, you're going to just talk on the radio. I don't have a ham license either, okay? Now, this is where I'm going to lose a lot of viewers, and I know this, but I'm going to say it anyway. Another certification that I want is my diabetic educator certification. I actually have a book. Well, it's probably outdated now. Probably need to get an updated one because they didn't have like a GLP-1 inhibitors back when I got that book as mainstay therapy for like Ozempic. When I had the book, that wasn't one of the modifications that we could get. Treatment modalities. And Jardiance was still a very new thing back then, and pagliflozin, which basically makes your kidneys pee out blood sugar. How about I just say, makes you pee out sugar in your urine from your body. It lowers the blood sugar that way. But ultimately, if shit hit the fan, speaking of just medical, and for type 1 diabetes, type 1, where your pancreas secretes no insulin, okay? The only treatment is still insulin. Down the line, and I predict this in the next decade or so, there'll be just a stem cell injection, and your pancreas will stem itself back to normal. I was taken back because a comment someone said about type 3 and type 4 diabetes, which we rarely, that's like when a skinny person develops type 2 diabetes and we don't know why, kind of thing. I don't really go over those categories much. I never code for them in my when I charge a patient for their visit. I never, and some layperson was just melancholily talking about type 3 and type 4 diabetes, which basically the treatment is exactly the same for type 2 diabetes. And in healthcare, I don't differentiate between the three. Type 1 is completely different. We call it, child onset, but it's basically, it can happen as an adult. You check a C-peptide level, insulin antibody level, to see if someone's truly a type 1 diabetic. These are just blood tests you can order. And no, I'm not reading from a script. This is all in my head. Okay? Yeah, I'm reading from a striving. Anyway, enough about diabetes talk. One thing I need to do is do a good ammo check, because I straightened out my prepper cage, so I have all access to my ammo. None of it's hard access to find. And I need to do a good inventory of how much ammo I have. Now, my go-to calibers, honestly, are still 223, 556, 308, and 762 by 51. Those are my two calibers that are my go-tos. I'm at the intersection again where the guys are working on doing some stuff. I think expanding the roadway a little bit. I'm not quite sure. There's like only one person working right now. Maybe work doesn't start till late. He's got a truck full of dirt, and I don't know where the hell he's putting it, but it's one person. And there's a lot of dirt there. I'd like to have some of that dirt. Probably get about 10 more beds with that dirt. Raised garden beds, I should say. So some people, this is controversial. This is about prepping and composting, okay? Now, I compost whatever I have this year for next year and the year after, the way I compost things. So, yeah, I compost weeds because they're going to all be broken down. And I compost diseased plants because the bacteria is going to take over that plant and break it down. The mold would be my friend until it becomes essentially compost soil. Cardboard, I don't mix that in until that's all just completely broken down. When I first started building my beds, I wanted to fill up space, so I took a bunch of cardboard, and all of it, I emptied it out once just to check. All that cardboard that I put in initially it's all gone. It all broke down over time in the soil. Basically, cardboard is from trees, so you're just basically composting the brown part. So when you compost, there's two things that they say. Compost green, which is like anything that's green, and then brown, which is like trees, dark shrubs, stuff like that. So I compost green, brown, and I compost anything that I can get my hands on. Nothing animal related. Don't compost any of that. I was worried because I was dumping my ashes in my one of my grow bins that nothing would grow, but plants are taking off in it. Of course, I buried the ash integrated into the soil, and I do that with my compost. I integrate ash. Figured, when forests burn down, of course you're going to have ash, and that becomes part of the soil. That's just part of the soil. So, like if I have a whole smoking session with wood, and I have the ashes left over, I don't throw them in the garbage. I throw them in my compost bin. Does anybody else do that? Yeah, composts. So I got the clearance now that I'm going to build. I'm going to put together my two greenhouses just for shits and giggles. I'm going to put them together and do a video on them. And I want to do the greenhouses to expand my growing season. Basically, you got to be careful with greenhouses because you don't want it to get too humid. I think, I'd like to think I have everything figured out, but I really don't. But I do have a solar fan got a couple of them that I can just put in when it's just to circulate the air. And then I have my solar generator. I might keep it inside one of those, and that can, run a fan whenever it needs to be ran. It's a crazy idea, but it just might work. It's only 7:28, and I'm 3/4 of the way at work now. I left at 7 o'clock this morning on time. Oh, back. Excuse me for a second. So I'm going to try this one more time, because yesterday I got no one to respond. Okay. This weekend, Saturday, and the time for my video now, my live stream Saturday show, is going to be 4 p.m. Central Time. And I'm going to do a giveaway. And to enter the giveaway, you have to respond to this video in the comments section about what state you're from and a sentence about something about prepping that's important to you. Because I got no response yesterday from the video that I did, but understandably, I did have a block of time that was gone, and it probably skewed a lot of viewers off. So, again, my prizes are going to be nasal trumpets that you can practice with, field medical cards, which you can use for shit hit the fan, and a copy of My Journey as a Combat Medic, soft cover. And I'm going to have 2 sets of prizes. So 2 draws, and nobody can be a repeat winner. But you're going to have to leave a comment on this video about what state you're from and a part of prepping that's important to you, and why it's important to you. Just a sentence. And if that's the case, or maybe whatever. So tune in Saturday at 4. Now here's the thing, folks. I'm all people that live in the continental United States, 48 states. Not shipping anything to territories, Alaska or Hawaii or Canada. Can't do it. Other things I consider doing in the future are other things discussed later. I don't want to discuss them right now. But I need for you to comment on this video if you want to, participate in the giveaway. Because you can't when I do my live stream on Saturday at 4 p.m. Central, that's not where you can comment. You have to comment here and on this video to make it so. And maybe my viewers aren't commenters. I don't know. So I guess there's still rioters about the no king, which is a bunch of bullshit to me. They find a reason to, it's a bullshit reason to protest it. It doesn't make any sense. This no king thing. I tried to make sense of it. It doesn't make sense. Because when the deporter in chief, President Obama, was deporting illegal aliens, it was okay. When Trump does it, he becomes a racist. So what's the line, folks? You know, if I don't like something Trump is going to do, I'm going to call him out on it. Like my opinion matters, but I don't just follow blindly. Okay. What's your opinion? And it's true that the forces of Israel threatened to nuke Tehran, and that we launched one of our nuke sniffing planes. In case they did nuke Tehran. I don't know. I sure as hell hope they don't nuke Tehran. But Tehran needs to be bombed back to the Stone Ages, because if they do get a nuke, they're going to use it. You can't trust those people. They're not using it for energy. They have oil. Okay, well, that's just my opinion. And I'm concerned a lot about how some conservatives have some anti-Israeli thought processes. This is something completely new to me. I'm not saying you have to agree with somebody, and I don't agree with other nations, what the hell they do. But, you know, siblings disagree. The U.S. is the big brother, like it or not. But what I don't like is when, and this happens all the time, okay? Nations go to war when political leaders are doing bad in their party. And of course, you always want to get behind your leader during conflict. That's why Bush was elected 2 terms. That's just my opinion. Now, I was going to be a Bush supporter. Jeb Bush, when he was running against everybody in started in 2015, 2016. But when he had made the comment about, I don't need to be here on stage to everyone, it just showed me his level of snottery when he said, I don't need to be here. Nobody needs to be president. They want to be president, right? Do you remember that debate? Anyone? This is going back. And that just, when that man said, I don't need to be here, then you don't need to run for office. And and that's when I took all my support from Jeb and I went to Trump. And you remember how the media just kept on talking about Trump and how he's running for office, and it kicked him in the ass because they were just giving him free advertisements. I mean, no news is good news. No, that's not what I'm saying. Bad news is still good advertisement, right? I'm not a politician. I'll shut up. It's 73 degrees outside. Is this truck stuck or what's the deal? I don't know. Then all of a sudden, got this vehicle in front of me that has its flashers on. Oh, I know what they're doing. This vehicle's making, they're basically spraying chemicals in the air to kill bugs. Of course, my dumbass is behind them, inhaling all the biochemical warfare to kill the bugs. That's what the hell that is. You know what? I can't do this. I can't. I'm going to start getting a coughing spell. I'm going to turn off for a minute. Let that. You know how they have that, they spray all the bugs and shit with, basically it's chemical warfare against bugs. It's nerve agent. And I don't want to breathe that crap. I'm going to let it dissipate for a second. And I'm sure as hell not going behind a vehicle that's doing it. Just going to sit here at this intersection and give it a minute. I can't breathe that shit. Put my light on. Yeah, no wonder I was starting to get. So we were exposed to nerve agent chemicals during the first Gulf War. Okay. And that's why I don't like bug spray. I don't react well to it. Okay. Turn that off. The natural bug spray, that skin's so soft. There's an ingredient in there that repels bugs. It comes from a tree. It's a lot better. But I could just start, the inflammatory markers in my skin my bloodstream were just kicking in. So they have mosquito control that they have, and they spray the chemicals to kill off the mosquitoes. Because did you know that this whole area, the Chicago area, was marshland? And what does marshland have a lot of? A lot of insects. Just because we have cement on the ground doesn't change what the area is. And you would expect it to be marshland because there's a lake just north of us. Every direction that we go in northwest Indiana, if you go north, there's a lake that you're going to run into. Lake Michigan. I was starting to get twitching. My fingers, even more so. Anyway, I had to pull the hell over. But yeah, people don't watch my prepper freeze dry videos. I don't get it. And I was trying to do a search. So what you can do is add tags to a video to garner interest. And there aren't that many good tags for making YouTube videos about prepping with freeze dry. So it's up to me to garner interest. And I'm here to say I think every prepper should have a freeze dryer, should have a Harvest Right freeze dryer. Get a small one if you need. They sell them on Harvest Right. But if you're going to get one and you care for me, go through my affiliate link. So I get a little something from it. A little something. Like I did a Harvest Right freeze dry video the other day. I posted it and it gets under like 20 views. But I don't get it because you're supposed to, as a prepper, you want food preservation for long term. And you buy these boxes and buckets of freeze-dried food from a company that freeze-dries crap versus you making it yourself, the food, which is cheaper, freeze-drying it yourself, which is cheaper. The only part that's not cheap is the initial investment of the freeze dryer. but you're investing in your health of your family. Like this year, I plan on having a high yield of tomatoes. So what I'm going to do is freeze dry a lot of my tomatoes for future. I'm going to freeze dry after I blanch them, mind you, my carrots. If you freeze dry carrots and you don't blanch them, that is cook them for a minute in boiling hot water, they lose their color. Yeah, definitely there was some nerve agent because I'm starting to break out into a sweat. Insecticide. And I got that tingling sensation on my body. React to stuff, I guess. So yeah, I'm in Illinois now, way behind enemy lines. I'm on Halstead. I'm going to work. The time's only 7:42. If I go in too early, I don't get paid for that. They don't pay us. We're hourly where I work at. Nurse practitioners, we're hourly. We're not salary, but we don't get paid overtime. Now, I'm not boo-hooing, okay? This is just the way it is. But I never get to take a lunch break because the way that the schedule is, the nurses are running behind. So by the time I get to see a patient, that's my designated lunchtime. And you're not going to have a patient wait 30 minutes so you can go eat lunch. And so I don't get paid for my lunch. So what I do at the end of the day is I leave a little early to make up for it. And that's just the way it goes. I like it how cars, there's a big ass bus going and this car's not even slowing down. Oh man. I'm excited though about Thursday going to the beach. I'm going to get everything that I want to play with and make videos about some prepper electronic tools and sun cooker. It's going to be a good time. I'm not going to overdo it with bringing my gear, just stuff I want to play with and test out. I just hope it's not too windy. So I'm working on doing a video about, I want to do videos about the different crops that I'm growing in my prepper garden. And I think the first video that I'm going to work on is growing tomatoes. And obviously I have plenty of footage because I'm growing tomatoes. And I want to share some insights that I've learned as a prepper with a Suburbanprepper with a garden about growing tomatoes. Now everybody's got their thing about growing tomatoes. Oh boy, we're going to see what's going on today. So this guy's parked in handicap and he's not even disabled. That's okay. I'm not gonna say shit. Sometimes when I'm just sitting here in my my workplace parking lot, patients think that they have a right to come up to me and stop me and think that I'm going to do something for them. Anyway, some things are better not said. What if I bring this into work if they're thinking I'm drinking alcohol? It's basically ginger ale, carbonated ginger ale. It tastes so good. I've given up drinking soda. Actually, yesterday, my wife had some soda. I took a sip of it, and I got so nauseous. I didn't even drink a lot of it. I had a sip of it. Soda's not good for you. I guess they're right, because there are a ton of mosquitoes out right now. My car's parked and I see them. They're just flying around. I mean, you ever wonder how many mosquitoes there are per square mile? Millions. I mean, billions. I don't know. There's a lot of them. What if someone's done the equations to calculate that? That would be pretty interesting. And I could see hundreds of them just flying around. Surprised there aren't more birds pecking around eating them. And so last year, I came up with the bright idea that I want to clean my the cement on the back porch, the patio, which is cement. I wanted to clean it with vinegar. And I had this concentrated vinegar, and I was scrubbing and scrubbing and scrubbing, and it didn't do a damn thing. Nothing. Except it killed the grass when I rinsed it off. And it got me to think, what is a natural, but I wouldn't use it anyway in my beds. But what I am thinking is, what is a natural insecticide for my plants that I can spray on my plants that's natural, that wouldn't really harm anything other than kill the insects? And, something that always comes up is something with Dove soap, Epsom salt, and something. Definitely not vinegar. I got to do that. I made a video before about natural insecticides, and I have it on my YouTube site or my prepper channel. God. Anyway,